on not dropping off.
That's amazing, right?
Yes.
Look, I'm going to say this. This is his 19th year at age 37, 38.
And 3 seasons of playoff basketball.
It's remarkable because I could barely walk after games after my 18th year. I know he spends well over $1 million on body maintenance, and it's well worth it.
It was defense of truth. Reggie Miller knows Larry Bird in a way that highlight videos can never show. He faced him when games were slow, physical, and mentally brutal. There were no friendly conversations, no social media friendships, and no switching teams. You stayed where you were drafted, and you went to war every night. Larry Bird played in that environment and dominated it. Reggie saw firsthand how Bird controlled games without speed or flash. He beat you with his mind before the ball was even tipped. The problem with LeBron and KD's comments is not that they believe the modern game is better. Every generation believes that. The real issue is the way they framed Larry Bird as someone who would struggle or be average today. That is where Reggie Miller drew the line, because that idea ignores what made Bird special. Larry Bird was never about athletic gifts. He was about skill, timing, confidence, and fearlessness. Those things do not disappear in any era. Reggie made it clear that Bird would not just survive in today's NBA, he would dominate. With modern spacing, freedom of movement, and three-point shooting, Bird would be even more dangerous. He would have more room to operate, more shots, and more chances to punish defenders. Reggie believes that if Bird played today, coaches would build entire systems around him, just like they do with LeBron and KD. One thing modern fans often forget is how tough Larry Bird was mentally. Trash talk today is light, it's playful. Back then, it was personal. Larry Bird would tell defenders exactly
about modern day basketball is the best thing about modern day basketball, Jimmy, for me, is for Larry Bird fans, boomers like me from the 80s, is definitively Larry Bird would have been an absolute monster in today's NBA because of all that he could do. He would be the greatest stretch four who's ever played. He would shoot 10, 12 threes a game. He'd average 30, 32 points. He didn't shoot threes.
But he would also probably have to shoot threes.
Reggie reminded everyone that Bird was not slow. He was precise. He was not weak. He was tough. He was not outdated. He was timeless. When Kevin Durant tweeted about plumbers and firemen, it added fuel to the fire. That comment was seen as disrespectful to an entire generation. Players back then worked second jobs not because they were bad, but because the league did not pay like it does now. The talent was real. The competition was real. The battles were real. Reggie made sure people understood that success in that era was earned the hard way. The reaction online showed a clear divide. Younger fans agreed with LeBron and KD. Older fans stood with Reggie. But something interesting happened next. Many young fans started watching Larry Bird highlights for the first time. They saw the passing, the shooting, the toughness, and the clutch moments. Slowly, opinions began to shift. That alone proved Reggie's point. The tape never lies. Reggie Miller also made it clear that this debate is not about hating LeBron or KD. He respects both of them as great players, but greatness does not tear down the past. The NBA is built on respect between generations. Michael Jordan respected Magic and Bird. Kobe respected Jordan. Greatness grows when it honors what came before it. Larry Bird never needed to speak up during this situation, and that silence speaks volumes. Bird has always let his career do the talking. 3 championships, 3 MVPs in a row, countless clutch moments.
Versus Larry Bird. Larry Bird couldn't do all the things that Magic could do, but Larry's still a good passer.
That's a good
rebounder.
That's good.
He was a decent defender, not a great one, but the guy could shoot the lights out, and Magic couldn't shoot. Magic wasn't a great shooter from the perimeter. He just made plays.
But he didn't have to.
He made plays around him better. Absolutely right. He didn't have to.
But here's the point, though. So it's like all those people when you watch Olympic hockey, right? And I always go back to hockey, is like John Tavares, you put him on the Olympic team, and all of a sudden everyone's like, wow, he's one of the best players in the NHL. No, he's always been one of the best players on the NHL.
Issue in modern basketball discussions. Many debates focus only on stats and athletic ability. They ignore context, they ignore rules, they ignore mentality. Larry Bird played in a league where defenders could hit you, grab you, and intimidate you. He still thrived. Put him in today's league with more protection and more space, and his numbers would explode. Reggie Miller's defense of Bird was not nostalgia, it was education. He wanted younger fans to understand that greatness does not expire, skills do not age out, basketball IQ does not go out of style, confidence does not weaken over time. Larry Bird represents all of that. LeBron James has built one of the greatest careers ever. Kevin Durant is one of the most skilled scorers the game has seen. But even legends can be wrong, and when they are, voices like Reggie Miller are needed to remind everyone where the game came from.
This controversy will eventually fade, but the message will remain. Respect the past, learn from it, honor it. Because one day, today's stars will become yesterday's legends, and they will want the same respect they once questioned. Reggie Miller did not just defend Larry Bird, he defended basketball itself. He defended the idea that greatness is not about eras fighting each other, but about connecting them. And in doing so, he reminded the world why Larry Bird's name will never fade, no matter how much the game evolves. The debate is no longer about who is better. It is about understanding why legends matter. Larry Bird mattered then. He would matter now. And thanks to Reggie Miller, the world remembers that clearly. The reason this moment matters so much is because it exposed something the NBA rarely talks about openly. Every generation wants to protect its place in history. Players today are constantly compared, ranked, and judged in real time. Social media never sleeps, and every comment becomes a headline. When LeBron and KD spoke about Larry Bird, it wasn't just an opinion, it was a statement about where they believe they stand in the all-time story of basketball. Reggie Miller understands that pressure better than most. He played in an era where rings defined everything. If you didn't win, you were forgotten. Yet even then, there was respect. You could battle someone for years, hate them on the court, and still honor what they stood for. That's why Reggie took this personally. To him, dismissing Larry Bird is like dismissing the foundation of the league itself. One thing Reggie made very clear is that Larry Bird never ran from competition. He didn't choose easier paths. He didn't wait for perfect situations.
As I was growing up, when we was playing against the Celtics would come in and, they knew they was going to beat us no matter how we start the game. They just knew we were going to fold and they were going to come back and beat us. Kevin McHale would talk more trash than anybody's ever seen, and Bird as well. But they knew they were going to win. And I think we had that same attitude.
The way I got shocking actually by growing up in LA and watching the Boston and the LA series, was watching Larry.
With numbers, but it wins championships. Modern basketball celebrates individual greatness more than ever. That's not wrong, but it creates blind spots. When LeBron and KD talked about athleticism and pace, they ignored how Bird controlled tempo. He didn't need speed because he decided when the game would speed up or slow down. He forced defenders to react instead of attack. That skill is timeless. Another part of Reggie's message was about humility. Great players don't need to erase others to shine brighter. Michael Jordan never said Bird couldn't play today. Kobe Bryant praised players from every era. Even Shaq, one of the most dominant forces ever, constantly gives respect to the legends. That respect strengthens legacy instead of weakening it. The silence from LeBron after the backlash was telling. Some fans saw it as maturity, others saw it as avoidance. But silence doesn't erase what was said. It just lets the conversation live on without closure. Meanwhile, Reggie continued speaking calmly and confidently. He didn't attack personally. He explained. He educated. That made his words hit harder. What truly shifted the conversation was when former rivals came out in support of Larry Bird. Players who once hated him admitted how great he was. That matters. When enemies respect you, that's real legacy. It showed that Bird's impact went beyond stats, rings, or highlights. He changed how players approach the game. There's also an uncomfortable truth here. As long as players like Larry Bird remain untouchable in history, it complicates modern greatness debates. That doesn't mean LeBron or KD aren't great. It means greatness has layers. You don't climb higher by tearing down the base. You climb by standing on it. Reggie Miller wanted fans to understand that eras don't compete, they connect. The modern NBA exists because players like Bird pushed the league forward. The style changed because of them. The spotlight grew because of them. Ignoring that history doesn't make today's players bigger. It makes the story smaller. Another key point Reggie emphasized is durability. Larry Bird played through pain that would sideline many players today. Back injuries, broken fingers, constant physical contact. Load management didn't exist. You played, you showed up, and Bird still delivered in the biggest moments. That toughness earns respect across generations. As this debate continued, one thing became clear. This was never just about Larry Bird. It was about how basketball history is remembered and taught. If younger fans only hear dismissive comments, they lose context. Reggie stepped in to protect that context. The longer this conversation goes on, the more it shapes how future players will speak about the past. If respect disappears, the game loses part of its soul. Basketball is built on stories, rivalries, and lessons passed down. Reggie Miller made sure that chain wasn't broken. Larry Bird may never respond, and he doesn't need to. His career already answered every question, but Reggie's voice ensured that answer was heard clearly in a noisy era. This moment will be remembered not for the comments that started it, but for the reminder that followed. Greatness is not just measured by what you achieve, but by how you honor those who made it possible. And that is a lesson the game will never outgrow. As the days went on, the conversation didn't cool down. If anything, it grew bigger. Every former player interview, every podcast clip, every highlight reel added more fuel. What started as a leaked comment turned into a full-on culture debate about respect, memory, and what greatness really means in basketball.
One thing that stood out was how fans began revisiting old games. Full Larry Bird games from the 80s started trending again. Not just highlights, but entire broadcasts. People watched how he moved without the ball, how he talked constantly, how he controlled defenders with his eyes and his positioning. Younger fans were surprised. This wasn't some slow, outdated style. It was smart, sharp, and ruthless. Reggie Miller's comments made people pay attention to the mental side of the game again. He kept saying the basketball isn't just played with the body, it's played with the mind. Larry Bird was a master at that. He studied opponents, remembered their habits, and used their confidence against them. By the fourth quarter, defenders weren't just tired, they were broken. That's something athleticism can't fix. You can jump higher, run faster, and still lose if you're mentally defeated. Reggie made it clear that this is where Bird separated himself. He didn't react to the game, he dictated it. That's why players feared him. Another point that kept coming up was how Larry Bird handled pressure. He didn't shy away from expectations, he embraced them. If the crowd was loud, he got louder. If the moment was big, he wanted the ball even more. That killer instinct is what legends are made of. Modern players face pressure too, but it's different. It's constant. Social media critiques every move. Reggie acknowledged that. He wasn't dismissing today's challenges. He was reminding people that pressure existed before likes and retweets. It just came in different forms. What bothered Reggie the most wasn't criticism, it was dismissal. Saying someone wouldn't survive today isn't analysis, it's disrespect. And disrespect erases history. That's why he spoke so strongly. As the debate went on, fans started noticing something else. LeBron and KD rarely talk about players who beat them mentally. They focus on physical mismatches, pace, and spacing. But basketball isn't played on a spreadsheet. It's played possession by possession, decision by decision. Larry Bird would thrive in any era because intelligence never ages out. Reading the game, manipulating defenders, creating angles, making the right pass at the right moment. Those skills are eternal. Reggie also reminded people that evolution goes both ways. If Bird grew up today, he would train differently. He would shoot more threes. He would have access to modern recovery and nutrition. You can't freeze him in 1985 and judge him by 2025 rules. That comparison is unfair. This conversation forced fans to ask a deeper question. Why do we feel the need to downgrade the past to celebrate the present? Why can't both be great? Reggie's answer was simple. Insecurity creates comparison. Confidence creates respect. The longer LeBron and KD stayed quiet or defensive, the louder Reggie's message became. He didn't need insults. He had experience. He had truth, and that carries weight. By the end of the week, one thing was clear. This wasn't about changing anyone's rankings. It was about restoring balance, about reminding the basketball world that greatness didn't start with social media and won't end with it. Larry Bird remains untouched, not because people defend him, but because his game still speaks decades later. Reggie Miller just turned the volume up so everyone could hear it. And in doing so, he reminded the league, the fans, and the future players of one simple truth. You don't become great by erasing history. You become great by understanding it, respecting it, and building on it.